Morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Magic stream. Magic Online is having a large number of issues right now on a number of different fronts. So I wasn't super comfortable playing Magic Online this morning. I'm having trouble even reinstalling the program after the last update. So I thought I'd do something different and try out some Arena today. I started messing around with Arena after playing with Brian on his YouTube channel last week, I think. And I got enough wildcards and such this week to craft a historic deck. So on theme, I'm playing bad white creatures in that format as well. We're going to be playing a mono-white Lifegain deck that will look kind of like standard decks of years past. The deck is really built around Ajani's Pridemate and Hallowed Priest, both of which say whenever you gain life, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. So we have a whole bunch of things that gain us life in this deck. We have a couple of creatures that just have lifelink that can attack on turn 2, so that you can put counters on these and immediately have a 3/3. We have a few other payoff cards. Sarah's Ascendant, if we have 30 or more life, gets +5/+5 and flying. And let me tell you, a 6/6 flyer for 1 mana is a pretty good rate. We also have Speaker of the Heavens, which, if we have at least 27 life, we can tap it to make a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Towards the top of the curve, we have some really powerful things. Heliod's Suncrowned. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature or enchantment you control. And it can also give a creature lifelink, which has synergy with the deck. And then Linden, the Steadfast Queen. Whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. So a really common curve might be play a 1-drop lifelinker, Ajani's Pridemate, you have a 3/3. Play Linden on turn 3, attack with 2 creatures, you have a 5/5, which will turn into a 6/6 at the end of combat, and you can really run people over. We also have a handful of creatures that go and give you life whenever a creature ETBs. So we have Soul Warden and Daxos, which is slightly different. So this is whenever a creature you control enters the battlefield, but it also gets dies here, and you get a life. Rounding things out, we have Ajani's Strength of the Pride, which can create an Ajani's Pridemate token twice, which is really good. Its plus is also quite relevant. You can sometimes net 6+ life with that activation. So I am still in the process of kind of learning the basics of historic, but things have been going well thus far. We're just going to kind of jump in, maybe play historic for a little while. Things go a little differently. Maybe we'll end up doing a draft in a bit. Oh, thanks for letting me know, Gobble Hunter. Test, 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 test. I'll have to watch my video later and see what's up. I don't know if it's like an arena-centric thing or if my internet connection is bad currently. Keep me posted. Like if it noticeably gets better or noticeably gets worse, please let me know. I think with this hand I'm going to lead on Soul Warden over the 1/1 lifelinker, because my opponent might be playing creatures, and then I'll end up getting more life out of it. Don't want to trade that. Oh, Gobbo Hunter, I bet I was clicking in and out of Arena, which was shutting off the background noises. Okay, this is a really good turn. I think I want to play Heliod next turn so that I can start putting counters on this Hallowed Priest. We're pretty likely to get to 27 life next turn, so I'm going to go ahead and play this. Ooh, a tapped land is not good for my opponent here. Oh, my opponent is probably dead. Yeah, this is disgusting. Alright, this is why we're playing the deck. Just watch all the triggers. Just enjoy. So that was a turn 4 goldfish, I believe? Oh no, I think I accidentally played sideboarded games. I've been playing best of one. Oh well. Who needs a sideboard? The game 1 plan was perfect. Morning, Reaple Cheap. Morning, Bentley. We're just gonna kill people with white creatures like usual. It'll be a good time. I'm hoping my opponent doesn't play a good blocker this turn. Perfect. Yeah. Go ahead and get this in and get the +1/+1 counter on it. My opponent showed us something that can be a base level 2/2. So getting this first counter so that I can attack through a 2/2 is pretty good. Alright. So up to gold with this deck. Hopefully we can get to platinum during this stream. I think that's pretty obtainable. Alright. So I want historic ranked, not traditional. Traditional is sideboarded. Galbo Hunter, expect a lot of victories today. My experience with historic thus far is that my opponents don't really have 1-drop removal at all. Because, like, there's just not a lot of good options in many colors. And so when I just go, like, 1-drop Lifegain thing into Big Cat, my opponent is often pretty far behind. This hand is borderline a mulligan. I really need a 2-drop curve filler to make this hand insane. But I have so many live draws, or even a second 1-drop to play on turn 2 is pretty good, that I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep this one anyway. Alright, so you remember what I said about not being very many 1-drop options? Fatal Push is one of the good ones. Okay. So I need to gain some life in order to start triggering this. So I can have 1, 2, 3, 4 devotion next turn. That's not enough unless I draw another 1-drop. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and play out a couple of creatures. And no attacks with the cats. We can get in with Healer's Hawk next turn and then turn this into a 3/3. No blocks. Alright, opponent has a lot of dudes. We'll get in the air. And then that lifelink is good. That's going to get 1 counter here. This will be a 3/3. Let's turn it into a 4/4 because then I can block Vengeful Rebels. And it's relatively unlikely that my opponent will have a 3rd Vengeful Rebel that I need to play around. That is the downside of that counter placement. Alright, things not looking good for the home team. I'm gonna need to draw something here. Oh, okay. Do I trade to keep my life total high, or do I take 6? I'd probably just take the 6. With a good draw, I can get all of that life back relatively instantly. Okay, I still think I'm on the defensive here. This can come in. I think I call that good. Yeah, the legend rule has changed many, many times over the years. Do I need 1 life very badly here? I don't think I need 1 life very badly. I go block, block, take 3. If my opponent uses a removal spell, no, I think I'm good. I don't think I want to throw this away. My opponent's in white, so they realistically could have answers. To an enchantment. I think my opponent just puts all of the counters on Marionette Master, and then when they attack in with these, I lose 4 life. Don't see... Well, I guess I can gain 5 back on that attack. Okay, maybe it's slightly more complicated than just that. Because I just let these through. Oh, sorry, that's me. Thought they were sitting there tanking about this. Oops. I just blew some timeouts. Yeah. Here? Could be here. But let's go ahead and just do this. Alright, this is not the time to be ripping constant planes. I think I'm done here. I think I'm going to go ahead and attack in with this Heliod. Yeah, I guess that isn't great for me because this happens. Alright, yeah. Let's scoop it up. I thought it was, I attack in, the attack's free, and then I replay Heliod, gain a life, but that's not actually true because of the Marionette Master. Yeah, that was a time where I used a normal heuristic and it just didn't evaluate what was actually in play. So in a more normal situation, like that attack is free and costs me nothing, but the dies trigger there is rough. But looking back, that hand was borderline on a mulligan anyway, so I'm not like overly surprised that I lost. Um, this hand has no payoff. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and mulligan this. Like I can gain a decent amount of life, but I can't do anything with that. I'd rather try to curve out a little bit better. Yeah, this is great. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 is 2 of these. I think I toss back a land. So based on the curve here, I definitely want the Soul Warden first. So Fabled Passage is essentially a slightly upgraded Evolving Wilds for anyone who hasn't come across that before. The difference is that if you have 4 or more lands, you get to untap the land that you get. My opponent is in black, so they might be able to remove this. If they don't, I am crashing in for a whole lot. Okay, this is cool. Drawing that land means that I just get to do it all. If my opponent can play a sweeper of some kind, I accept my loss. But if they can't, this is murder time. My opponent has given me the nice. We're also pretty likely, no, 100% chance to get to 27 life next turn to make a 4/4 Angel as well. Sweepers aren't a huge thing in this format. They are present. So there's a 4-mana black sweeper, and there's 2 different common white sweepers. There's Settle the Wreckage, and then there's a 5-mana one that I've seen that destroys all creatures and does something else. So I've come across a handful. What is this? Okay, so that's just Blood Artist redundancy. I do not mind trading here. I think my opponent is obligated to block the large creature. And look at the triggers go. Now, since we're above 27, we get to make the Angel, which gives us life, and then gives us 2 more counters. Rough. Alright. We have no cards. Opponent has 5 cards, and something on board. This deck isn't the best at rebuilding. It exists largely to execute a plan very consistently. And you're okay with that plan going awry a little bit Like, you can lose a creature or two, and it is not a big deal. But when you eat a 6 for 1 or something like that, it's really hard to come back from. Luckily, we drew another payoff card, so, like, even with opponent attacking, we're pretty likely to stay above 27? Not 100%, but pretty likely. And if we can stay above 27 and actually start making angels, I might be able to get back in this. It's if they go, like, Blood Artist, remove a creature, attack in, that things get dicey. Ooh, hidden stockpile. Hidden stockpile plus these Blood Artists and Luris recurring things is sweet. Yeah, Reaple Chief, I'm glad you're enjoying that card. Initial results I've heard on Twitter have said that a bunch of the new cards are gas. Opposition Agent, Hull Breacher, and the Blue Court have been popping up in my Twitter feed a good amount. Okay, so now I need to draw a creature to gain that 1 life. Whiffing there is super bad. Now I think I'm in trouble. Not that I wasn't before, because, like, you know, shenanigans. Yeah, Reaple Chief, I think getting those Commander Legend cards is going to be tough. The Commander Legends drafts are, like, painfully slow from what I've heard. Like, some people are saying it was, like, hours multiple for them to, like, finish those games and whatnot. So if any of these Commander Legend cards are good, they are going to end up being expensive. Yeah, I can't get to 27 here. Fortunately, I'm just going to have to pass the turn. I'm not 100% out of this, but I feel like the scales have tilted enough in my opponent's favor where I should really consider conceding just for the sake of time if they play another Haymaker or I whiff on another draw. The thing is, they're kind of a slow bleed deck, and I can mitigate a lot of that, so this is a really awkward game. What is this? Oh, I see. So now they sacrifice the cat, get a food, bring the cat back, and then each time I get drained. I see. Alright. I think my opponent probably has the inevitability here. I'm going to go ahead and concede and just move on to the next one. I think I'm, like, sub 10% to win that game or something like that. Yeah, I didn't consider not losing there. Yeah, that was probably my biggest mistake. Okay, so this is going to be Soul Warden into double Serra Ascendant into Heliod if nothing else changes. And then if both of these can attack, I get to do gross things. Temple Garden? Temple Garden. Ooh, alright, so Winding Constrictor makes all sorts of counter things rather ridiculous. So we'll see if my opponent just creates a very, very large creature this turn. Creatures with power... no blocks. Creatures with power less than this can't block it. Alright, and it's going to get large, but that's fine. I wonder if I'm supposed to attack with the Sarah Ascendant here and try to trade it for this before this thing becomes really annoying. I think that's fine. And if they don't trade here, I get much better quality creatures. I think I'm just going to double up on one of these. Oh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Oh no, double Winding Constrictor. So best of one, yikes. Best of one means that if you stumble, you just lose. Yes, I am aware of what I am doing. I will keep this one. It also means that your game one plan needs to be a little bit more flexible. Attack. Block with Heliod on this thing, and then maybe do a chump. I think I'm fine with that attack. So in best of one, when you keep that questionable hand, it kind of just kills you. In best of three, when you keep a questionable hand that might work out, like, you have games 2 and 3 to make up for it if things don't work out. Yeah, okay, so normally when I've played this card, it hasn't gotten up to 10 power, so I guess my Heliod actually can't block that. Unless, hold up, how many of these? Handful of these, so Heliod is not going to get bigger than that. Maybe stack these on the other Sarah Ascendant. Oh, no one got to block? Okay, I missed something there. Alright, why does no one get to block? Oh god, it's creatures you control. I thought it was Champion of Landhold. I misread that card. Alright, that was brutal. That's the first time I've played against that deck. Lesson learned. Jeez, what a harsh lesson at that. Yeah, opponent did something powerful. So, a lot of the historic decks that I'm seeing that appear good are doing something powerful and linear. This hand is only okay. This hand becomes very good if I spike a 1-drop, which is why I'm keeping the hand. We're likely playing against goblins. No, a runaway Steamkin deck. Okay, so now I have to decide if I want to attack into this thing. I think I want to attack into that thing. Like, if I drag the game on versus the mono red deck, that is probably favorable for me. And I'm not going to block with this. I think I want this in play. So with this in play, next turn I can play Ajani's Strength of the Pride, minus it, attack with 2 creatures, and then have a 4/4 that's protecting my Planeswalker. Okay. What do we have over there? A Gutter Snipe and another Runaway Steamkin. My opponent might blow their 3 counters here to get the Gutter Snipe in play. Yep. Alright. Let's go ahead and play Ye Old Planeswalker. And I will just go ahead and make my cat. And then I can do disgusting things with it next turn one way or another. I don't care if this dies this turn. Like if my opponent uses a Wizard's Lightning to kill this or something, I am totally good with that. I am making a very large cat here. I wonder if my opponent just invalidated their attacks for the turn by doing that. Yeah. So, make another Ajani's Pridemate. And let's grow them as much as possible, and then I'll play Heliod as a finisher next turn. Let's attack with the 11/11 and see what happens. They took 11. I just let them draw 3 cards because they have Experimental Frenzy in play. Yeah, Gobbo Hunter. I dislike some things about Arena, but it is a much faster and smoother gameplay experience. Like, unquestionably. That's not even all that bad for me. Like, I get 2 more Daxos triggers, which grow these again. And then, like, I'm going to play Heliod. And that's eventually going to give these things lifelink. Opponent's doing, like, a surprisingly good job of, like, comboing off. This is impressive. Like, my opponent is not hitting lands which are stopping them, and they were able to exile one of the lands off the top. I might just be in danger of my opponent sacrificing Experimental Frenzy and then comboing me off from their hand. Yeah. Yikes. Oh, have we not actually gone to combat yet? Yeah, if we haven't gone to combat, yeah, we're in first main phase. Yeah, I am deterministically dead on board from an attack then. Alright. I did not expect we were going to lose against the mono red deck. It's probably a rarity that that deck gets triple Steamkin in play, though. I like how we played that one, but, like, my opponent's cards essentially allowed them to create an infinite combo on, was that, like, turn 5-ish? Yeah, that's disgusting if you could do all of that in standard. I think I want the evasion here. I want to be able to grow this because a 1/1 body is not impressive. Like, this is only impressive if I get to grow it. Now... It's pretty likely I eat removal this turn. I'm going to play the worst body here in hopes that this dies over my Pride Mate. My opponent doesn't have removal. I missed out on a future point of damage, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. Alright, a Menace Lifelinker. Okay, so the question is, do I just want to play the other counter creature, or do I want to create a larger creature now? I think I want to play Linden as sort of a finisher next turn. I'm not going to be playing around a sweeper when my opponent is playing to the board. They're all good boys. They have to have names. Like Isamaru. Yeah, you can have that. I get to untap with this to protect my creatures. I'm going to feel real good. Hmm. So this goes here. I don't know how much I care about this. Like, losing an evasive flyer kind of sucks a little bit. Not that much. I could just dome my opponent for half their life total here and just let the Healer's Hawk go. Or I can just force the Planeswalker dead and then... Yeah, let's play to the strength of my board. Yeah, Callum, I like that line. Like, attack with the Hawk on Kaya, and then if my opponent minuses and kills the Hawk, I don't have to worry about it killing my future 1-drops. And I push more damage that way. Yeah, I like that line better. That's pretty gross.
Everything will be fine if we stand together. A pure soul can inspire others.
I don't mind trading the Linden for the Kuneros because I have another one in hand. Also, it just does disgusting things to the map power of my creatures. Oh, and it takes 23 but gains 3, so they'll be at 3. And if my opponent were to play something like the Orzhov Sweeper card, I would just make another cat and then have 2 bodies on the board to their 0. Alright. Alright.
I am proud of those who walk beside me.
Nobody has lifelink or anything here, right? No. This deck is really fun. I don't know that this is the best thing that I can be doing in Historic, but I figured this was a great way to start learning the format, and then once I feel like I really understand the format, I can pick a true tier 1 strategy. But this was a great budget option that didn't cost me all that many rare cards to make. Most of the enablers are commons and uncommons. I really like the look of the Historic Goblins deck. It gets to be like a... Yeah, a lot of times I don't have to do combat math because I am just creating a very stupid sized creature. Drawing that's really good. So as of right now, I have a 3/3 that will turn into like a 5/5 or so. That change things? No? Do I sneak this? I think I sneak this. I think I would be happy enough with a trade. Because I have a very redundant hand. And I just don't want this Death Toucher to take out this creature. Ah. My opponent is on a similar plan to what I am. I am just going to have to trade something for this creature at some point. Alright, so I think I want to do this. And then, what's next? I'm at 24, this will be 25. I think it's Speaker of the Heavens this turn. I'm just going to try to keep my life total high enough that I can activate this and start going over in the air. I want to play this first because this enables at 27, while Sarah's Ascendant enables at 30. Alright, what's this one? Oh, nice. What needs this counter? Nothing really needs this counter. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on Heliod. Heliod's probably going to be around more or less no matter what. At this point, I don't think I care about losing a 14-14 to a Death Toucher, as weird as that sounds. That's just, like, not how I'm winning this game. I'm willing to go ahead and trade that off, because it just represents more +1/+1 counters on my flyers if my creature dies. I might lose if my opponent, like, somehow can infinite combo. But otherwise, I see myself winning this one pretty handily. I know sometimes those sort of effects can loop with each other. So what does the Pridemate do? The Pridemate can block their creatures. I am not afraid of their board at all. And I'm looking to close out that game in 2 to 3 turns in the air. If I can attack roughly for like 12, then 20, or somewhere thereabouts. So I think if I'm looking to just slam the door on that game, trading is fine for me because that +1/+1 counter is very actively good. I don't think I'm in danger of losing Devotion there. It looks like my opponent is going to be an aggressive creature deck. And if that's the case, I am just going to outsize them over time here. Rather handily. Next turn is another Soul Warden into a second Ajani's Pridemate. Okay, this probably puts this out of range of a lot of their removal. That's also not bad. Yeah, Gobbo Hunter, I've been playing a lot of Limited recently, and I've been spending more time thinking about what role I'm in any given matchup. So I think, generally speaking, this sort of like Soul Sister style deck is trying to drag the game on in many cases because you have inevitability over your opponents. You create the larger creatures, like you have a higher effective life total than your opponent. But there's so many games where you are just the beatdown and you just like create a 5/5 that kills your opponent. And trying to figure out what sort of game you're in is good. And at that point, I think the plan was I'm very far ahead. Trading is good for me. I need a payoff card here. This is a payoff card, but it's slow. I think if I draw... I'm not getting to 30 next turn, am I? I'm not. Go ahead and do this. So my opponent is playing some sort of like artifact deck, maybe some sort of like Kaladesh enabled thing, such as Paradox Engine or the Energy Finisher. I forget what it's called. So with any creature next turn or a land next turn, we will be at 30. Or my opponent playing a creature. Although I think that's something my opponent is relatively unlikely to do. I think I'm more likely to see plays like Mind Stone or something out of them. Yes, Aetherworks Marvel. That's it. Thank you. Alright, let's try to close the game this turn. Or as close as I can to it, because that Blast Zone is a 4-for-1 right now. Okay, so in the face of that 4-for-1, I probably need to play my Planeswalker minus, and then gain a crap ton of life and create a very large cat.
Fighting tooth and claw is what it takes. So a pure soul can inspire.
So the good news is, now I have a lethal threat if my opponent activates Blast Zone. And they're at 2, 4, 5, 6 mana. That's not like Ugin mana. Not all is Dust mana. That one's not legal in this format. What could beat me? Might even just be a better question to ask, like, what keeps my opponent alive? Slothwater, you can also scroll over the cards on screen on the Cardboard Live extension. I was lazy this morning and I just set up the traditional Magic Online extension rather than the Arena extension, but I will do that more accurately in the future. Yeah, Gobble Hunter, it's kind of a cute idea, right? Like, oh man, they just made an 11/11 cat. That's so good. Son, let me tell you about Death Shadow. It's that big for 1 mana. I think I'm playing the Alseid Life's Bounty first. So there's worlds where this ends up being a protection card. Against my opponent leading on Island, I'm just going to lead on the one of these that has higher power. Then I get either Hallowed Priest and Serra Ascendant next turn, or just Hallowed Priest. Okay, my opponent is going to be playing some sort of ramp deck, so I want to close this game. I gain 1 life this turn, gain 2 life next turn. I think it's better to just play Speaker of the Heavens. I need to close this game before my opponent can play their big payoff cards, whatever those happen to be. Hollowed Priest I will play pre-combat. And then I'm going to attack with everything. Ah. Yeah, Jay, we're doing something a little different today. Okay. I might throw away a creature this turn to make my Hollowed Priest and Ajani's Pridemate larger. I can't really gain life right now. Not effectively. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. I want to grow this as much as possible so that I can really represent a lethal threat at some point in the future. And now this one, you get to sit here for a little while. All right, so let's go pro blue here. All right, my opponent has given us the good game. Josh, let me pull up the deck list and I'll talk to you about my deck building thoughts when I put this together. Because I built my list very differently from most of the lists that I'm seeing online. I'm not going to say that my list is 100% better or anything, but I think my list is more focused. All right, let's go ahead and pull up my deck. Yeah, I don't know if I've talked about this on stream yet or for YouTube. So, um, I talked about this in the podcast this week, but I decided that this was a good time for me to learn Limited. I've really been enjoying Vintage Cube, and I had this experience with Brian last week where we were playing together and I was spotting things that he wasn't, and I was doing things more quickly than he wasn't, and he was evaluating things in a very different way than I was. And I realized he hasn't spent nearly as much time doing creature based combat as I have. And one of the pieces of advice I was always given was if you want to get better at Magic, learn Limited. It will just help every aspect of your game. And after I played that, I played with Brian for like 2 hours, and I was wondering, like, man, what am I missing by not playing Limited? Like, I can see Brian is missing some things that I see. Like, what am I not seeing that other people are seeing? And so I decided I was going to take Limited seriously, but I I don't really enjoy drafting on Magic Online all that much, and it's hard for me to squeeze in games. Whereas on Arena, the draft experience and being able to play best of one means that I can stop start much easier. So like during my work day, I can like work for a couple hours, take a 10-minute break, play a game of Magic, go back to work. I can't do that on Magic Online because one game on Magic Online could be 10 minutes or it could be an hour and you never know. But on Arena, the stop start is much easier. So I decided I would go ahead and get into Arena a bit to both learn Historic, because it's an eternal format that I can't play on Magic Online, and to use that as a way to level up my own game. Yeah, so I made a one-time purchase of some Arena stuff to get me started, but I intend on staying free to play from here on out. All right, so talking about how I built this deck. I wanted to build this deck in a way that maximized my potential of doing the thing. So I saw a lot of these decks that are playing more endgame, like they're playing a couple more Ajani Strength of the Pride, or they're trying to get some removal in there, like the Convoke enchantment that can exile anything, or they're trying to play something like Thalia. And almost none of the lists that I saw actually played Hallowed Priest, which is, I think, not a card that exists on paper, but exists only on Magic Online. And all I want to do in this deck every single game is play a 1-drop that enables a 2-drop creature. So every time I do that plan, I am off to a strong start. And if you're not playing Hallowed Priest and you're playing something like Thalia in that spot, that's a fine start, but your opponent can often ignore it. So I've built this deck to maximize my ability to have a consistent payoff, which I think is important for best of one. Yeah, Gabo Hunter, super quick breakdown of how it works. Each day, you can get daily wins that award you like gold and cards and stuff by playing matches. Each week, there's a larger pool of prizes you can get by playing matches, but that refreshes once a week, whereas your daily quest refreshes every day. Gold is a currency you get from doing these sorts of things, and I think it's like 10,000 gold is a draft, for example. And you can earn gems as prizes for various things, and how much is it for a draft? Just like checking that. A draft is 1,500 gems. So you can go infinite in draft if you consistently 5-3, I think it is, and 4-3 is almost going infinite, like you get 1,400 back out of 1,500. If you just want to play, like if you want to build a deck for a format and play, like the arena buy-in's not bad. I bought the big pack for $100. Like, I'm a content creator. I can use that as a tax write-off. Like, I'm good with doing that. But if I wasn't a content creator, I just would have bought in for $5 and called that good. All right, I want historic ranked. So like of the $100 worth of stuff that I bought, I've used like maybe $5 worth of that virtual currency. And I played like 15 drafts so far or something like that. And I'm not quite positive, but I'm really like learning limited right now rather than someone who's already good at limited. Like I've done more drafts in the past week than I have probably done in the past 3 years, maybe. The Gilded Goose doesn't have power, so we can go ahead and attack and let them block and just grow our cat. And then we'll see whether we're going to go like Daxos Ascendant or Hollowed Priest Sarah Ascendant next turn. I also might sandbag a Sarah's Ascendant. Yeah, Jay, I agree. Like, normally I am the sort of person who cube drafts every time Vintage Cube is available, and otherwise I don't play Limited. But, like, this week I've been listening to podcasts, I've been doing research, I'm really trying to learn how to learn Limited formats. Okay. I think I have to play the Hollowed Priest this turn. The question is, like, do I just play this Sarah's Ascendant, or do I wait? It might be correct to just wait on this Sarah's Ascendant and not play it this turn. But if I draw any small creature, that doesn't feel correct. Opponent has no... I think I'm not going to play this. There is also the off chance that my opponent has a sweeper. That would kill their own Gilded Geese. I think I'm not going to play this. Like, Daxos into this next turn puts counters on these creatures, and I'm kind of limited in the number of additional counters that I can add right now. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, my experience with this limited format was very positive to start with when I was playing against randoms, and then as I started climbing the ranks and got paired against better players who knew what they were doing, my win rate slowed down a bit. Done 15 drafts so far of the format. I'll probably put out a video at some point that kind of like breaks down a lot of my thoughts for the Kaladesh draft format. It's a good format. I enjoy it a lot. And I'm pretty good at drafting a lot of the traditional decks, but I'm still having trouble with some of the like odd fringe options. Like, if I want to play a green-white beatdown deck, I've got that. If I want to play a red-white vehicles deck, I've got that. But I'm much less comfortable with something like, say, a Grixis artifact-based control deck. I'm a little less comfortable about that sort of stuff. We're going to get 3 life this turn. And then I'm going to activate this castle to get a soldier, and that's going to put me at 30 life. My opponent's really stuck on mana here. Their life is hard. Like, the Gilded Geese are going to be on jump block mode. Yeah, kinda. We're giving an arena stream a shot. Going pretty well so far. And we've ranked up twice. 3 times? I will say that I just, like, love the range of decks that I'm seeing in Historic. Borderline Mulligan. I have a payoff card, but it's kind of a late payoff card. I have 4/8. 12, 13, 14, maybe 15-ish hits to make this hand really good. I can have 2 draw steps. I'll keep this. I'm not thrilled about this hand. Oh no. Okay, so we're playing a mirror where I don't have... Okay, there's a payoff. That's fine. I think I'm going to offer a trade here. Okay, this is fine. So our opponent didn't have a turn 2 payoff, which means I'm Well, okay, they did have a turn 2 payoff, but a slower one. Alright, this game is going to go long. Yeah. No, I want to attack with this. I don't think I want to attack with my Soul Warden. I have 1 of them and my opponent has 2. Yeah, the... Ooh. Alright. This counter is going on my Soul Warden first, so that I can block opposing 1/1s. Yeah, if you're the sort of person who wants to switch decks around a lot, ooh. So I'm going to be able to stall out this. My opponent's Speaker of the Heavens is going to be enabled in the next turn cycle. So I think I just have to plan on this game going long. And invalidating this with this. My future counters are going to be going on this Sarah's Ascendant, but it was... Also, just let me say again how glad I am that I do not have to click through all of these triggers manually like I do on Magic Online. Yeah, Legends of Runeterra has received a lot of praise from the community in terms of, like, being cheap to get into and the economy actually being player-focused. It's really nice to have the indestructible creature here. Ooh. This is actually really good. It might be better than playing Ajani Strength of the Pride this turn, despite how mana inefficient that is. Because when my opponent taps Speaker of Heavens and creates a creature, I'll get 2 more triggers on this. Not really exaggerating when I say I think Soul Warden might be a better play. I'm not going to do it, because it's just so mana inefficient.
We stand together. Our true strength lies in our friendships.
Hmm. Maybe I should have waited one turn until playing this, because its 0 ability would be on at that point. Oh, I think my opponent messed up. I think my opponent was supposed to keep that flyer, take 13, so they can kill this. Because now I'm just going to exile all of my opponent's creatures. Yeah, I think we both messed up in this turn cycle. I think I was supposed to just play the Soul Warden, despite how mana inefficient that play is. Unless they have the Convoke enchantment. So many triggers in these mirrors. Yeah, so... Confirm? Confirm? Yeah. Let's flex a little. Yes, I know what I'm doing. I haven't actually done the math to see if this is lethal, but we have like 20 plus 20 plus 12. That should do it. Gonna go ahead and rope out. That's fine. This was on board though. Like, opponent might be salting about it a little bit, but this is 100% their fault. They could have kept their Angel and killed my Ajani to keep this from happening. Like, I made a mistake that they didn't capitalize on. This is the arena version of salting off in the chat. We only overkilled them by 17 and ended at 74 life. Maybe could have done better. I mean, definitely could have done better. Like, I noticed a very poor mistake that I made. Yeah, this is fine. I think since I have 2, I'm going to lead on a Speaker of Heaven. Speaker of the Heavens. It's possible that I should lead on this one as protection for this. But I don't see myself leaving a lot of mana open. If I had a Healer's Hawk, that would be the one drop that I would play this turn. I will gladly trade Speaker of the Heavens for Llanowar Elf here. My opponent can potentially get bigger than my Hallowed Priest pretty easily. My opponent took a mulligan already, so I think trading is good for me. I don't have something like a Soul's Warden or Soul's Attendant that will just let me sit here and outclass what my opponent is doing over time. Like, it's a little hard for me to gain life flink right now. Alright. I think I'm just on the Vomit Creatures plan. A little bit on the back foot here, but not too much. Another payoff creature is pretty good, and my opponent will probably not be able to attack all out, because anytime they attack all out, I just get to crack back for a lot. Fortunately, like, without a payoff card here, this doesn't look great. Creatures and graveyards. Fortunately, this hand is such where my opponent can just keep playing a creature every turn. That represents a lot of saved damage. Okay, here we go. I could throw away a creature, but I think I'd rather throw away creatures defensively. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the turn here. Does this work? Yes, because I counter this because it's an illegal target, not because of anything else. I think that works. Yes. Alright, so I have an evasive creature now, so I don't necessarily need to do suicide attacks or anything to grow this Hallowed Priest. Game feels pretty even right now. My opponent has the bigger creatures, but I have some things that are threatening. Alright, great. God, that has reach? Awkward. I'm glad I scrolled over that. Oh man, this is not nearly as good as I thought then. I'm gonna go ahead and play that because I have a castle in my deck that would make me want to have that in play. Geez, I did not realize this red 2/2 had reach. It's very awkward for me. Okay. Alright. I think my opponent potentially could be getting more aggressive than they are. Uh, uh. Yeah, this was an awkward combination of cards to draw. Not like technically dead, but life's bad. In order to stay alive, I have to suicide attack in with a whole bunch of creatures. I go ahead and throw in the towel here. I feel comfortable conceding at this point. I didn't really expect to lose that one based on how the first few turns were going. I expected that I would have the inevitability, um, but I never really drew something that functioned as a payoff card. I kind of had a bunch of enablers. um, this is fine. Not great, but fine. It represents a whole bunch of life gain and becomes very good if I draw one of my 8 Primate effects. Otherwise, it's just an acceptable hand that can have Speaker of the Heavens based payoff. Alright, so my opponent is probably a control deck of some nature. I'll be at 23 if I play Linden and attack. So 21 playing Speaker of Heavens. Then attack for 3. 20. I think I'm going to go ahead and play the mana efficient card here. There's the potential that I actually could activate Speaker of Heaven next turn. But if my opponent has a counterspell, I'd rather it eat this than this, oddly enough. Fight the mana differential. Okay, so we're playing against some sort of rogue flash deck. So we threw away a creature. That's okay. That is less okay, though. I think I need to attack in, despite the fact that I might walk into something, because I need to try to keep my life total above 27. Oh, wow. That was very bad. So that's very bad because now my opponent has 6 power, which gets me to 24. Yeah, I'm kind of running on empty here. I did not expect double 1-drop flash creature that gave my opponent 2 4/2s. That's about the worst draw in the deck. I don't think I can trade with that. I think I need to keep this around, so I'm going to go ahead and attack. Okay, I mean, there's a new payoff card. I will need more life in order to take advantage of that, though. And I'm getting pressured for a decent amount, which is problematic. I think I've lost this one. We'll see, though. Alright, I don't think this attack is profitable. I really don't want to lose this creature. I can also just hold this back defensively and try to give it lifelink. Okay, I do not want to be sandbagging cards anymore. My opponent has no creatures with +1/+1 counters on it yet, though. But probably won't be the case for long. How's my library doing at 29? Okay. I think my counters are going on my indestructible creature. Iliad can't give itself lifelink, unfortunately. But hopefully we can at least put our opponent into the abyss. I may end up trading the Pride Mage for the Thieves Guild Enforcer. Annoying. I'm taking a decent amount of damage. And I've switched to being on the defensive. How do I win this game? I don't know that I do. But I can't take this amount of damage. I will just end up dying to the flyers afterwards. So this sucks. But I think I'm going to go ahead and trade bodies away. That's not what I need. All of these fly, I believe. Yep, so I don't get to block any of this. I'm going down. Can't enable Heliod. That keep me alive for a turn. If I play this, gets me to my 5th devotion. I can attack for 2. It puts me to 7 life. I'll go up to an 8th life. Oh, actually, I can put the counter here. Put the counter here. That's 10. My opponent has 9 showing. Alright, maybe. It did put my opponent to 3. I do have 3 lethal things. That's rough. Good game. So, my opponent needed a Lord there. They got it. What a close one. Oh, so how are you feeling about the deck so far? Feels like just a bit too much interaction or a faster combo has been hard to handle. Um, I think a lot of decks are going to lose to too much interaction, right? So if your opponent goes like, thought sees you, kill your first effect, kill your second effect, like more or less, no matter what you're doing, that's going to be very good against you. I feel like this deck has a lot of play to it and rewards good sequencing pretty well. So I'm not dismissing this deck. I feel like this is a good deck to learn Historic with. Like, I feel like I get to play through a lot of board stalls pretty well. Okay. How do I take advantage of this best? Is it play Heliod and Speaker this turn, and then Linden next turn? Heliod can attack? I think so. Oh. Sorry, I misspoke. Play Heliod this turn, then Linden next turn. I don't have the mana for Speaker as well. My opponent's 4/4 Vigilance might be pretty good. Yeah, like Fatal Push is totally fine against me. But that's okay. I'm going to gain 1 life this turn. I'm more likely to get to 27 to activate this than I am to get to 30 to attack with this for profit next turn. Damage now? No, I think I want to make this a 4/4 so it plays around 3 damage removal spells. Yeah, like, I get to grind out games well. I get to close a lot of games very quickly with aggressive starts. There's randomly a decent amount of, like, mono red decks or aggro decks in the format that you just outmise.
Fire spreads fast, with help.
Okay, let's play a bunch of cards. I haven't done the math yet, but my opponent might just be dead. I think we're just going to continue to put counters on things that can't get hit by some small removal spell. Like, I don't want to, like, try to put a counter on this and have this get shocked. Yeah. So, I'm going to pull up the deck for just a second to talk about some things that I like about this deck. So what I like about this deck is it's kind of a A plus B soft combo deck or like A plus B synergy deck where there's a whole bunch of different pieces that can all be A or B. So like any one of these cards can be your turn 1 A, and then these can be a turn 2 B. Or if you have a bunch of other life gain, this can be the B as well, and this can be your payoff card. So this is an early game enabler and a late game payoff card. This is an early game enabler and a late game payoff card. So like this into this is a strong sequence. Or like this into multiple 1-drops into one of these 3-drops is a strong sequence. So I like how flexible this deck is at assembling a powerful game plan and how consistently it can do that. Luminarch Aspirant would be totally fine in this deck. But then, like, the question is, what would you take out for it? Like, what's the weak link? Like, Daxos is pretty good at creating a giant blocker that your opponents can't get through when you need to stall out the board, and it's also an enabler. Like, Linden maybe doesn't need to be a 4 of, but every time you curve 1-drop, 2-drop Linden, and then like your Johnny's Pridemate or Hollowed Priest gets a billion triggers, like that just ends the game. So space is a concern, and you definitely lose something no matter what you take out. Yeah, like I would definitely be willing to explore other builds. But like this is a great example where like I have 1-drop into payoff card into potentially like stronger payoff card. Reach? Oh, that's like a really good card. Yeah, I have not gotten any feel for sideboarding in this format. I accidentally played one game with sideboards when I didn't have a sideboard, but that's it. So I don't know what this deck would need for post sideboard games. I just don't have a feel for that. I assume this is gonna eat a lightning strike or equivalent here.
No sword can pierce my scales. Bolus told me I should do this.
Alright, so my opponent potentially has some scary things going on here. I don't know that I care about this card. But I also don't know that I can ignore it. I'm not sure exactly where that falls. My opponent wants to protect if they just chump block this turn, and I can't really do much about that. I think I try to kill it this turn. I only need to gain 1 life to do that. So playing Heliod does not accomplish that, so I can't play Heliod this turn. I think I'm going to go ahead and play Linden for mana efficiency, because then I can Daxos and Ajani's Pridemate the following turn. So let's go ahead and send that here, and I'll send Soul Warden at them. That attack is free if they end up doing the chump block. It's possible that I should just ignore this. But, like, this is in my opponent's deck for some reason. And I don't know what that reason is right now. So I should probably value it. My opponent says dragon.
To the skies.
Um, all I need to do is make my Ajani's Pridemate bigger, and then my opponent is in trouble. Oops has been called by my opponent. I agree. So I'll turn this into a 9/9 so my opponent can't kill it. Are just going for their face and ignoring this? I think so. Oh, maybe I should have, like, attacked with the Linden as well. Then I wouldn't have had to trade. But my board position is so strong right now. Like, I get Heliod plus enable Sarah Ascendant next turn.
I need this.
I also might have lethal. 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, plus a handful of Heliod triggers as well. Or, yeah, okay, so let's play Heliod. Want to diversify, create as many large bodies as I can. 5/5 is good. Put this counter on Daxos, I guess. I'll attack you. That's 4, so I can put all the counters on the Soul Warden and make that live. Yeah, this deck is really fun. It ticks a lot of boxes for me. And it really rewards tight sequencing and thinking about what's important. And I like that about it. It maybe can't generically beat everything, which may be a problem with it when I get to like higher ranks in Mythic. Like if I have a bad common matchup, that's not the greatest. I think I'm gonna mulligan this hand. If my opponent has blockers that stall these, this hand doesn't really do anything. I think I'm gonna go ahead and junk the Linden here. Try to play Soul Warden into Speaker into Heliod and do something with that. I don't know how many creatures I'm actually going to be attacking with. It's possible I should have junked the Speaker instead, though. What I'm doing feels more objectively powerful than the Death and Taxes deck. Try to trade, make the Soul Warden bigger. This is the only chance I probably get to trade with this. I think I'm good with that. Like, the Death and Taxes deck is a better, like, deck at stopping what the opponent is trying to do, but the Death and Taxes deck maybe isn't explicitly powerful on its own. It punches a hole in what your opponent's doing, and it's pretty good at answering opposing stuff. Whereas this is the deck that is asking questions. Oh, this is like another Winding Constrictor. So I think the Death and Taxes deck and this deck are of like very fundamentally different natures. Back with the 3/3 should be fine. 1, 2, 3. This would be 4 devotion. Oh, I should have played this pre-combat for the +1/+1 counter. That was dumb. So that was a particularly dumb mistake because it was the difference between 26 and 27 life, which is the difference between having another 4/4 angel and not. Oh yeah, fine and Andy. There are a handful of cards that don't actually exist anywhere other than on Magic Online. So it's weird. If you're playing best of 3, I don't think Hollowed Priest is even legal in that format. There's also a pretty good 3-drop that is an arena exclusive. Eh. I'm going to keep this hand. If this was another 1-drop that, other than Healer's Hawk, I would probably... Like, if this was just another one of these Alseid of Life's Bounty, I would throw this hand back. But because I have something evasive that I can stack +1/+1 counters on, I don't think this is necessarily bad. Goodbye, Helid. I'll miss you. Bye-bye. Bye. That's a perfect draw. We're going to play this thing because it can offer protection to my creatures, and then I'll crash in. I'm supposed to play one of these. I think I'm just going to hold up protection for my Hollowed Priest instead of playing out another one. I'm only likely to get to, like, 26 life next turn if I play this out. Well, that would have been a reason to play it out. Again, because the castle is in my deck, I want to play out this land in case I draw the castle. Opponent doesn't have double block, so they probably can't have a sweeper, and if they just play out a blocker, I have lethal by giving this pro whatever color the blocker is. So I think my opponent is just, yeah, they've realized that they are deterministically dead on board. All right, let's get out of gold tier. I've almost maxed out my daily wins with this deck. Yeah, we can give the opponent the good old F in chat. That's fine. Oh, are you talking about me for me and my rewards? No, that's okay. Like, Arena gives you a reward for your first 15 wins of the day, and then anything else you do after that doesn't super have payoff. This is borderline a mulligan. Like, having 2 Lindens isn't great. I don't have a payoff for any of this stuff. I think I'm going to go ahead and ship this and just try to find something a little more proactive. I would keep a 6-card hand of this quality, though. Alright. I think I like throwing back a land and hoping to draw a land in one of 2 draws so that I can curve Hollowed Priest into Linden. Beautiful. Becomes a little awkward if my opponent plays a blocker. Drawing another land for Daxos into Hollowed Priest would be pretty good. Oath of Kaya. So whenever an opponent attacks a... Oh, that's a Planeswalker specifically. Sure, that's fine. It's weird with this deck because, like, so frequently you're rewarded for playing things pre-combat when that's usually not the case. Like, usually in Legacy, for example, you want to do almost everything you can post-combat. 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think I just play this for 1 more damage. That's a great reason to not play that out. If my opponent's shocking, they might have a follow-up Wrath. In which case, if they like follow-up Wrath into a Planeswalker or something like that, I don't know that I'd dig myself out of that hole. Why are they thinking so hard after shocking themselves?
Listen to your pain. It whispers to all your fears are given form.
Alright, so let's go all attack and send these at you and try to close out this game. So we force the chump block and push 2 damage. Okay, they got one of my creatures. I can now like bounce my Ajani's Pridemate and exile it.
Your heroics are but a dream to me.
Alright, I get to put my opponent to 1, and I think I just ignore this Planeswalker. Try to push this last point of damage. All I need to do is go wide of my opponent. Ooh, that's not good. That probably stabilizes my opponent.
Surrender. Every morsel.
That just represents a whole lot of lifelink for my opponent. Yeah. Uh-oh. Dead? Feels like dead.
Come to my domain. Creeping, thieving project.
Like, my opponent gets to attack with this. It gets larger. It's a lot of lifelink. They can untap it. My Sarah's Ascendants are now off. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this one up. I don't think I get to grind that one out through like the additional cards plus the Planeswalker there. But it's not super surprising to lose 2 sweepers. That's something that is just going to be very, very good against this deck. So like, that's okay. And has a duplicate card that I really don't want a duplicate of and too much top end. Hey, Sir Charles, welcome. Yeah. I wish I had more time to write articles and stuff like I used to, but like the more I stream and produce other content like the podcast, the less time that I have to do that sort of stuff, unfortunately. But it's just like not super realistic for me to keep the website updated in terms of all those matchups like I used to. And my work day is not really such where I just have an hour where I can crank out, you know, part of an article over a couple of days. So there's a world where I get to 27 next turn to activate that. There's a world where I get to 30. I go to 26 here. I draw a land, yes. I think I'm going to go ahead and play the Healer's Hawk, though. Because the Healer's Hawk represents 2 more life gain, putting me to 26. And then if I attack with the Healer's Hawk in the air, that's 27 to get me my 4/4s, even if I don't play any more creatures. Excellent. Do I want to play Linden or Sarah's Ascendant? Sarah's Ascendant will be live. I'd probably play Sarah's Ascendant. I think just the Healer's Hawk. Could attack with Daxos, but I don't think I need to take any risks. Mirror Regery can tap stuff down. And so I want, if this gets tapped down, I want to still have this as a defender back. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, because I also made the Angel. I want to see what this does. Get out of the way, Trigger. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's what I thought. They're taking 11 in the air. Yeah, I'm a better fair deck than a lot of the tribal decks. I don't know that that's true of Goblins. The Goblins deck has like a really good endgame as well. But my Ajani's Pride Mates tend to be bigger than a lot of like the tribal synergy-based things that I've been seeing in the format. Yep. Yeah, Muxus is good enough for Legacy, so, you know, casting that card in a format with as small of a card pool as that is, rough. I assume Hallowed Priest eats, like, a Lightning Strike or equivalent here. No? What's going on over there, then? Like, the red deck has no play for the first... Oh, it's Goblins, I see. This turn's really interesting, because if my opponent plays Krenko next turn, I really want to have Soul Warden in play. And if they don't, I really want Linden in play. I think I'm going to put Linden in play, because if they have Krenko, I might have problems in the first place. I also might just throw this creature away. Not going to, but I'm thinking about it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I think we're going to go Soul Warden into Hollow Priest this turn, and then try to finish with Heliod next turn. I'm a 7/7, which would Plague Wind my opponent's board if my opponent attacks with every... Yeah. This is the turn where I'm okay throwing away Speaker of Heaven. Streaming Modern D&T is on my to-do list. I would like to try that out. I have 2 donations queued up currently. I'm going to play Curses with someone, and I have some sort of, like, Brock, like the guy with the thumbs, brew. So those will be some of my upcoming streams. After that, like, yeah, maybe trying out some modern D&T. would be fun. I've also got a vintage Hate Bears deck or two queued up that I want to take a look at. I was going to play that this morning, but like Moto is having a panic attack right now and everything is going wrong there. Alright, so we're playing against some sort of like colorless control deck here. I get to make this Hollowed Priest very large next turn. Oh, whoa, hold on. We can play bears in vintage? Ignore that modern thing. Yeah, supposedly it's one of the better decks of the modern... D&T is one of the better decks of the modern format right now. And the Hate Bears deck will be probably pretty questionable in vintage. Alright, I don't think I get to, like, play around some sort of, like, Ugin level thing with this hand. Like, I think I just have to go all in, and if they can sweep, they can sweep. My opponent is scrolling over my creatures rather than killing all of them at the same time, so that does bode well for me. Blast Zone is so good against this deck. Fuck. It sure did happen. I would say things currently highly favor my opponent. Like, even this Crawling Barrens will threaten to outpace this, just given a couple of turns. I played Glow Rider in Legacy. I think it was last week. It was pretty good. Oh wait! That's not the scary Ugin. That's the less scary Ugin. Although, to be honest, I am surprised that my opponent just didn't kill this thing. Like, if I have a removal spell for the idiot that they made on the previous turn, they lose the Ugin. Whereas if they just, like, kill this, there's no chance that they lose that. What does that do? Oh, just nuke a permanent, huh? Dead? It feels like I'm dead. Trying to just cast multiple 7-drops. That gets Blast Zone to Ugin. Alright. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna take 30 seconds and run to the restroom. I'll I'll be right back. I decided to grab some muffins too. You can't blame me for wanting muffins. They're delicious. We're leading on the healer's hawk for evasion here. We want to guarantee that we can gain life next turn to turn this into a 3-3. Sorcery speed removal? That causes you to lose life? That play was probably wrong. I probably should have played Daxos, and then I could go Ajani into Alseid. Daxos, Alseid, Ajani. I need to figure out how to actually pronounce this word. We're in gold now. So, like, I'm going to assume that my opponent's deck is doing things that they want their deck to be doing, rather than, like, they're just playing with a random starter deck or something. But this is weird. My cards are so good. I'm going to discard the one that I can't cast currently, even though I think it would be quite good. That is how that works. I really don't want to discard this card. I don't want to run into another one of these. Yeah, but if we just, like, face some sort of Thoughtseize effect instead. Then that would look embarrassing. And I also have, like, mana sinks and such in this deck. I think I'm in a very good position. Like, I have the larger creature, it's backed up by protection, I have multiple creatures that I can sacrifice to an edict effect. Opponent's deck is kind of interesting. Okay. I see, so they're trying to be this, like, ETB value attrition deck. No, that's not the goal of today's stream. And I don't know who you are. I've been listening to a lot of Magic podcasts about Limited recently, and one of the things they say is that if you want to get better at Magic, you can't do it alone. And you should really look into forming a Facebook group or something with some of your friends who are also interested in Magic, or finding a part of an existing online community so that, like, you can test. Because if you're trying to prepare for an event and you don't have anyone to prepare with, that's a problem, right? Like, that should be something that you should be looking to fix. Yeah, Discord is another great recommendation on that note. Next turn, I might have to give up this creature to, like, force a hit on the Liliana if my opponent keeps blocking. Because I need, like, if that thing's ultimate goes off and my opponent gets to destroy, like, It's not as bad as I think because I have this. But now this thing's at 5 loyalty. Yeah, it might be worth giving this up to try and force a kill on that. I get blown out pretty bad by an instant speed removal spell, like a Fatal Push, though. Yeah, I'm not willing to take that risk. But also attack in with this speaker, and if my opponent blocks the speaker, like for the free value, then the Planeswalker is dead. I don't think I'm willing to let this one go, though. This creature seems quite good. Maybe I'm wrong, though, and I just should. Ah. This combination is strong. I think as long as I'm maintaining this, I'm pulling ahead. I say that now if my opponent plays some big dumb like, I reanimate all of the creatures in all graveyards card, like, that's gonna beat me. But otherwise, I think things favor me. Alright, so my opponent has junked their Liliana to keep their 3-2 around. Strong. Ooh! Opponent just willing to take it to the face there to try to sculpt a situation where they can actually stabilize. Your duress resolves. I respect that. Nice. They won the game by killing themselves, in their hearts at least. Alright, we are platinum now. That's excellent. Let's keep going for a little while longer though, I'm having fun. Yeah, just kind of while we're queuing up here. Been listening to a lot of like old limited resources podcasts in order to like try to improve some of my drafting fundamentals and whatnot. Picked up a lot of really good advice by doing that. Usually more of a legacy specialist, but Mono is struggling right now. This has no payoff card. This is all life gain, life gain, life gain. So I have nothing to do with this life, so I think that means I mulligan this one. It also has 4 lands. um, and is unexciting but fine. It sucks to not have a 1-drop play, but this is pretty good for a 6-card hand. Like, we have the Devotion to enable Heliod, and we have a lot of other stuff going on. I do have to think about which card I want to play this turn. I think it's just Daxos. I think I go Daxos into Pridemate next turn and just guarantee the counter on this. Like, playing this when I can't also guarantee life gain next turn is not the best. Alright. So let's play Big Cat, then crash in. 2 1-drops this turn. Alright, what's the worst case scenario for me? The worst case scenario for me is my opponent plays a sweeper. They just go like land into sweeper. In which case, I would like to have something that can get bigger, or would I rather... I think I'm going to play into the worst case scenario. And push damage this turn. And if things go wrong, I still have something that can grow quite well and scale up. And I still have like 5 relevant devotion. Alright, don't fly, do you? You don't fly. I think I'm playing Linden this turn, followed by Heliod. Alright, so you're going in, you're going in, you're going in, and then I have to think about you. I can throw away that body. I don't throw away that body, though, because I get to exactly 27 life with this attack cycle. Yeah, I'm playing around a soft sweeper that is based on power and toughness by taking the line that I took. But I'm not quite familiar enough with all of the sweepers available in this format yet. I haven't, like, sat down and studied the format as a whole. Woo! Alright, well, Massacre Girl massacred, but I don't know that that was actually good enough. Like, my opponent has to chump block. Gilliard's not attacking next turn. Can't give lifelink this turn. Whatever, let's force the obvious play. A targeted removal spell on the Pridemate means that my opponent's pretty far ahead. Yeah. So my opponent has 6 cards to my 0. And presumably if they have things like Massacre Girl in their deck, they're going to have a top end. Oh man, they're maybe not even to their top end yet if they're playing things like Solemn. Just gonna play this out rather than bluff having something. I have a mana sink in play. Okay. So I played against a deck similar to this one once before. So they're trying to flip this, and then it turns into a land that allows them to reanimate value creatures like Ravenous Chupacabra. Yeah, okay, that's not good. So now they're going to sacrifice this Solemn, and then they're going to return this into play as the land that lets you reanimate creatures. Yeah. Dead? Like, they get a Massacre Girl back, kill my board, have 8 power in play, plus a Planeswalker. I think that's a point where I am comfortable just conceding. Again, this deck is not resilient to sweepers. I did play into it a little bit, but I did so intentionally, and I didn't do the math on it, but if I didn't play into that sweeper like I did, my Pridemate might not have lived. Uh, and is medium. I'm going to keep it. Mirror? It's a mirror. So we're on the draw in the mirror without a Pridemate effect in hand. We're at a pretty big disadvantage currently. We're gonna hope to get... Okay. This isn't so bad. Pseudo mirror. Okay, now we are quite advantaged. Well, that is a decision. I think I played this one because the protection for my Pridemate becomes very relevant. If my opponent has something like a Heliod, their decision might make more sense, where they can just, like, stall the board. I think this attacks too. Yeah, so my opponent's line may make sense from their side, but from my side of the battlefield, like, this thing is incredibly threatening as the game goes on, and the board is likely to get stalled with multiple creatures that have these sorts of abilities, and at that point, it's the threats that matter more so than anything else. This is another arena exclusive that is not actually in Paper Magic. This is something that I considered for my deck. Ooh, that's pretty good. Oh, it was in 2020? Okay, it just has the A symbol, so I wasn't sure. Let's see. So it's really like I'm taking 10 coming in, right? Because these are life, no, this isn't lifelink. It's really like I'm taking 6 coming in. So this is going in, this is going in. Like, do I need to do anything else? Stay alive. Say no. Oh, I hit my opponent at 22. That shrunk this. Oh no. That should kill me, I believe. I think they just put the counters on their lifelinker. And then I die to that, because this is effectively a double striker. And I can't, like, I have no flyers to do anything with that. And one more life wouldn't have changed anything there. Hmm. Our life total was under too much pressure. Like, being able to make an angel or two there would have been pretty huge. Like, just to have a flying blocker. Because, well, they have 2 creatures, so I can't just give protection and alpha strike in. This is all life gain. This is 1 payoff, but I have a duplicate legend. I think I'm going to ship this. This hand is better by a lot. I think I'm going to bin a land and hope to draw another. Yeah, that combo was sick, Josh. If we're playing against some sort of mono-red aggro deck, the amount of life gain that I have in my hand is going to be very good. If my opponent doesn't remove the Hallowed Priest this turn and they instead like play out some creature, I think they're in trouble. Like, the attack triggers here, plus the ETB trigger is going to be so strong. But if they remove the Priest in this turn cycle, I think we'll probably end up in a pretty similar spot. And it may favor them just because they have so many more cards than I do, since I mulliganed and was on the play. I don't highlight Hallowed Priest. Yeah. Drawing a land for Ajani so that I can make a Pride Mate is really good. Yeah, I'll probably try out an Orzhov build at some point. Like I'm brand new to Arena. I started last week, so I'm not really at the point where I have a bunch of rare cards and stuff laying around, which is why I'm trying to like start grinding Historic and learning Historic with this deck. Because like so many of the cards that are central to it are just like commons and uncommons or things that were in the starter decks that I was given. Do I want to attack with my 3/3? I think I want to attack with my 3/3. Yeah, there's also a bombardment card that does the same sort of thing. I forget exactly what it's called. Raid bombardment, maybe? Now am I attacking with my 2/8 as well? I have two good blockers on the ground. 31 life. Yeah, I think this is fine. It also just like grows the Pride Mate more. And if my opponent wants to go like 3 for 1 to take out Linden, I'm good with that.
I've learned a bunch of new brains to try on you.
Show me the new card and succeed. Concede. Bleh. Alright, so starting in Platinum, each time you win, you only get one rank, one notch up rather than two. It's a little harder to level through Platinum than it is through all of the ones that come before it, where you get 2 notches at the same time. Platinum is where I'm currently at for limited. um, I think I keep this. I think the ability to go Healer's Hawk into Healer's Hawk, Sarah Ascendant into Heliod, assuming I draw a land. Never mind. Evaluation has changed. So now I just want to get this in play rather than the Healer's Hawk, because next turn I can double Healer's Hawk, gain a bunch of life, maybe attack for 1, and then play Heliod. And we want to play the Healer's Hawks before the Sarah Ascendants, I think, because these represent late game payoff. I don't really want to force this 1 damage here. I don't want to get got by a flash creature. Like, my opponent's on rogues. It's just so awkward if I attack there. I haven't seen that card from Rogues. But that's a card I've seen from Rogues most of the time. Alright, we're gonna lose to a sweeper this game. If that's something that is in my opponent's deck. But we're usually losing to sweepers anyway, so... Don't have it. Sure, that's fine. Gotten punished by, like, holding lands in this format a handful of times, so I think I'm just going to play out my lands. Like, the last blue-black deck that we played against randomly had the, like, creatures that... Or no, that one was mono-black, where they ETB'd and I discarded a card. Value? Alright, my opponent just plays Murderous Rider, I attack him with everything, and then they die? Yeah. Doing a very good job of, like, executing a plan consistently. There's other things I could try out for this deck, but what we're doing seems to be working most of the time. And in best of one, I don't know that we're supposed to do anything to make ourselves more resilient to sweepers. This was best of 3. That's something that I would really want to be addressing in my sideboard. Ahira? Sure. I have no idea what signal that is supposed to be sending to me. Like, I don't know if this is that's my only creature deck, or if they legitimately do have those creature types and this is something closer to a tribal deck. Yeah, Bounce Spell is fine. I can go Daxos into Primate next turn, or Ajani, depending on what my opponent does. I think I just want to play the 2 spells here rather than the Planeswalker. That way, if my opponent has a counterspell, I at least resolve something. Oh, this just means I get to kill their Teferi, though, right? Yeah, that's totally fine then.
I'll have a better plan next time.
They don't have a way of gaining any life currently. Ooh. Definitely a little spooked by this. I need to kind of like close the game. Another Wrath of God is so bad for me, and my opponent also has that. Just chilling. Well, go. That's a way to gain life. Counterspell's rough here, though. But I think since I do have two relevant cards that like get better with life gain, that I'm supposed to do something about that here. That's rough.
We must regroup.
No, I do not have Angel of Vitality. Yeah, so my gut feeling that our opponent didn't actually have things was probably correct. Creatures. Ooh, no. Yeah, I think we saw one of our opponents playing Angel of Vitality. And then one of the starter decks. Back with 4 creatures, I turn this into a 6/6, which trades with that shark. That's not good enough. Yeah, I'm under too much pressure from these sharks, and they're also serving as great blockers. I'm also going to have trouble going wider than my opponent because my opponent can generate at least 1 additional blocker per turn. Alright, I think at the point where my opponent has like 3 creatures that are all bigger than my creatures, I can go ahead and back that up. We're not catching up after that Wrath of God. I mean, that's the thing that is consistently beating me. It's the Wraths. I think that's just something I accept as a weakness of the deck rather than get too worked up about it. Sounds good. We have a very good curve of like this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start with the evasive thing. So then we go Pride Mage, then we go Daxos into Speaker. Ooh, and gains double strike? Gross. Shoop, thank you very much for gifting all of those subs. Very much appreciated, friend. As my thanks for that, I will most certainly do something. Let's get another cube video up later today. That will be my thanks. Write myself a note. Send a cube video up to the YouTube channel. Full Warden Daxos, I think, is this turn. Alright, so this is attacking. And then I think this is just being held back defensively. We're not the beatdown right now. We will be again soon. But I just want to keep my life total high, because my best creatures are now probably large enough that I don't need to worry too much. That is a hell of a combo. That thing represents 12 damage. Yikes. So I need Heliod in play with 5 Devotion next turn, if at all possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't want to chump with Daxos. Maybe I just chump with the Soul Warden? That's weird, but it's probably correct. Oh, is that Trample? Wow, that's a hell of a trick. Wow. I'm gonna reread that card real quick. I need to know the exact text of that. Okay. Each attacking non-human creature gains trample. Wow. That's really good for 1 mana. Holy crap. Alright. Yeah, you can't even be mad, right? Like, I'm just impressed. So, our opening hand is pretty good. We might get stalled out by a decently sized creature. But this is going to be an aggressive curve. Especially now that I drew a Planeswalker. Interesting. My opponent's doing some of the same stuff I am. I think I want the Hollowed Priest here. And I don't think I offer up my Soul Warden. Oh, I should have offered up my Soul Warden. Now I know. I just want to get hyper aggressive this turn and go like Speaker into Heliod. Heliod enters as a creature, I get a bunch of counters, and I can bash in. Otherwise, I can go Daxos into Speaker, and that accomplishes similar things. If I play Heliod this turn, Heliod can attack next turn, though. I think I want one here so that this can attack this turn. That's a lot of life, holy crap. I gain one life here. I want to put it on this. I want to put it on the Soul Warden, though. Go ahead and put it on the Soul Warden. How much damage? Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. The opponent gains 4 life every time I play a creature. Not the best. I don't think I'm looking to try to close this game in the next turn or two. So, if I can get to 35, I just play this, exile all my opponent's creatures, and then I attack them for lethal. So I think that's my plan. Resolve All is a great button, and I am glad it exists for these, like, pseudo-mirrors. Yeah, I think I just want to keep stacking that up. I want that to be able to attack in this turn. This is silly. I'm enjoying this. Yeah, Ajani's ultimate is going to be disgustingly good. You. I guess that was everyone. Oh yeah, that gets the trigger twice too, huh? That's pretty good. Oh shit, I need one life. How do I get one life? Okay. My opponent's not making me think about it. That probably just means I could have just attacked all and killed my opponent there. We have an okay start. We have a great start. So you prefer like Soul Warden or Healer's Walk starts to starting with this, just because like if your opponent plays a blocker, it doesn't matter, you still get your life gain. My opponent could do something like very spooky and scary sometime soon. Yeah, that looks solid. What am I doing this turn? I think I need to play more out to the board. I could just Linden and try to force damage this turn. And like try to get counters on Ajani's Pridemate while the getting is good. And try to follow up with Heliod next turn. I don't hate it. I also kind of want to play one of these out to get protection, but I don't think I can do that and hold up mana. I'm gonna go ahead and take my most aggressive line here. Try to get in my damage now before my opponent does God knows what. Okay, so this is a creature. Let's counter here, maybe. Alright, what do you got? It's a fog! I go ahead and put all of this on my indestructible creature here. I don't know what sort of like wrath type thing I could run into. But I want to play around that if I can. No, I just started on Arena. I don't have like wild cards and such to burn. I wonder if my opponent is like actual factual like Turbo Fog. I'm traditionally a Legacy player, and I've been playing in Eternal formats for ages and ages and ages. So most of my resources are on Magic Online. I assume this is the sort of situation where there's not just one fog, but there's just a pile of fogs. Yes. Alright, so now I want to start diversifying. So I have two different lethal threats. Alright, so that's one of the modal lands buying back a fog. Yeah. So my plan was load up on Heliod in case I faced some sort of Wrath effect. And then once Heliod was lethal, start diversifying to other creatures. Now it's looking like I don't need to play around any sort of Wrath effect, so I'm not going to. I hope my opponent's win condition is like mill, otherwise I am going to have like an obnoxious amount of life for them to try to grind through with whatever their actual win condition is. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we'll start going elsewhere. All right, sure. Maybe I could start playing around in Ugin, actually. Now what is we're building up this. This is historic. Best of one. Ah, okay, so my opponent didn't draw. They were leaving themselves the opportunity to draw a new fog, and they didn't. I do love what the opening hands of this deck look like, just kind of as an aside. They so frequently have like a very clear and crisp plan. And you're pretty... Is that... Oh, it's a... Okay, it's a sacrifice, deal 1 damage to any one target. I see. That's sort of annoying. What am I doing about that? Like, do I sandbag this Hollowed Priest? Nah, I think I'll let them have the Hollowed Priest if they want to kill it. Like, then I have 2 more lifelinkers that I can play alongside with Heliod. Okay. Oh yeah, I've activated Speaker and it feels good. I think I just go ahead and attack in for my 1 and then play out my other thing since I can't gain life this turn. See if my opponent wants to like fire off a removal spell right here. I think I am just going to let my opponent fire off a removal spell if they have one. Like, Heliod is my endgame here. One of the cards that's on board is not my endgame. My opponent just says, good game. Alright, well, that's pretty good. I think I want to play Heliod this turn. It opens up the line of 1-drop into Hollowed Priest, gain life, put a counter on with Heliod next turn. But I think I'm dead if my opponent just goes like land Krenko or something. Okay, so my opponent isn't goblins, they are a red aggro deck of some nature. Ah. Double strike and trample, huh? That's pretty good. Alright. GG. Again, sweepers. Sweepers are rough. I go first. 1-drop, 2-drop, or 2 drops. Maybe into 3-drop. We'll kind of have to see how the game develops. Like, this into this is what's obvious about the way this hand is going to be played out. And from there, it's a little trickier. Like, if we're in a situation where you just need to make this cat bigger and push damage, we'll probably be looking at Linden. If we are expecting to settle in for a longer game, we'll probably just play the second Ajani's Pridemate, and then play Linden the following turn. I missed that opponent had Yorion at the beginning of the game. Okay. I think my maximum aggro hand probably looks like this. And I would like to close this game out sooner rather than later. Like, my opponent is going to get a wall, and I could be looking at, like, an Oblivion Ring style card in this next turn cycle. Alright. Show me what you got. I have a lot of life and a lot of damage coming in. Sort of inconveniently, this puts me at 26, not the 27 that I would really like. So I think we probably win this one if our opponent doesn't have something like a Settle the Wreckage or Wrath of God. Every time. Every time. We can probably attack with Heliod next turn. Is that what is correct to do? I can also just play Speaker of the Heavens, Daxos, and Soul Warden this turn. Then Speaker is online for next turn. Bot removal would mean that Heliod wouldn't be attacking next turn. Alright. Maybe this line's wrong. If I play Heliod and one creature, it's better against another Wrath. This is really awkward. This Heliod isn't looking great now. I guess it's Soul Warden that's going. Guess I'm playing into this. I guess I'm sacrificing Daxos, so I should put this here. Okay, so I sacrifice. I think I sacrifice Daxos, Heliod, and try to attack in for the 7 lethal damage. I think I'm going to go ahead and give this lifelink. I think that's going to be worth my mana. We'll sacrifice Heliod and sacrifice Daxos. Then there's 7 on board. My opponent has 1 mana available. So Douth, if you're newer to Arena, some of the modes are locked to you by default. There's this slider up here that says Advanced Play Modes On. That slider is set to off by default, which means that you don't necessarily see everything available to you. And if you turn the slider on, you'll see that there are more options here. Yeah, Historic is fun. I don't think it's as nuanced as like something like Legacy is or something like Vintage is. But it's a fun format where there are interesting and powerful things going on despite it being a smaller format. And I haven't felt like this format is dominated by any one thing. At least not at the levels that I'm playing it at. Are we playing another, like, mirror? Not a mirror. But if our opponent is playing some sort of like green-white value creature deck, we're gonna get so much value out of our Soul Wardens. Alright. There's that big old Uro at the top of the screen again. Alright, 3 mana available this turn. Getting pretty close to 27 life. I think I like Daxos. And then Speaker of Heaven. We would like to gain 1 life. My opponent flashing back their Uro would do it, escaping their Uro, but they don't have cards in graveyard to do that. I will potentially get a little more conservative from here after this turn cycle to protect from things like that. That's nice. So now I can naturally hold up this. Yeah, so my opponent was about to get buried in 4/4 Angels and a 6 Sinks. Flying, lifelinking, monster, all backed up by a protection spell. Really not surprised to see the concession there, like, at all. Let's do a couple more. Maybe get out of this rank of platinum and then call it. It's getting close to lunchtime for me. I woke up really early this morning. Just kind of naturally. I've been up since like 5:30. You hit me with the hello, I'll give you the hello back. Okay, what's going to be optimal in terms of my sequencing? Is it just play the Hallowed Priest this turn? Playing Hallowed Priest this turn probably represents the greatest amount of damage next turn. And if my opponent kills this now, then my Lifegain enablers stay around. Yeah, okay. So now I'm not going to get to 27 next turn, I don't think. I don't really want to show the Speaker of Heaven yet. I think we'll just go Daxos into Soul Warden and put both of these things into play. That also gives this 3 toughness, which gets it out of shock range. I might have sandbagged that card if I were the opponent. That card's so good against this deck. Do I want to trade Daxos for the Bomat Courier? No. I don't really want to do that. The Bomat Courier represents more cards. But Daxos represents a good amount of life for me. Yeah, this is why I might have sandbagged the Chain Whirler if I were on their side of the battlefield. They have another one though, like... We're dead. The goal is to get to 27. If I can get to 27 life and like actually activate this even just once, I think I win the game. But before that, my opponent has the possibility of like another Goblin Chain Whirler coming in and ruining my world. Alright, so my opponent is taking to playing the Hazaret. There's 25, here's 26. The Healer's Hawk attacking in is 27. Yay!
I'm the best fire starter there is. Feel the burn.
Alright, so they've eliminated one of my Speaker of Heavens. I think we're going with Daxos, block that, and then trade Soul Warden here. Oh, that's a good draw. Okay, so this can't block, right? Can't attack or block unless you have one or fewer cards in hand. Okay, great. So we'll send the Hawk here, finish off the Planeswalker. This can go here. You're staying back. Aren't you? Yeah, you're staying back.
Whatever. Figure it out on your own.
That is a sassy Planeswalker death. Alright, so having gotten one activation out of this, I now have 5 power in the air and 2 very good blockers. Alright, and our opponent scoops it up. Good stuff. Alright, I'm getting hungry. I think I'm going to make this one the last one. I hope you all have enjoyed this today. It's definitely a departure from what I normally do on stream. I'll keep this. Normally, it's more, I would say Eternal formats, and you would know what I meant, but this is technically an Eternal format. Normally, it's more Legacy, occasional Vintage, Rare Cube. But I'm probably going to be mixing up things a little bit more. Got a handful of things I want to try out on stream. A little bit of time off over Thanksgiving break, so hopefully I'll squeeze in a couple of cool streams. Is Daxos going to make sense this turn? Or is Double Speaker going to make sense? I think I want to like try as much as possible to get to 27. So I think I'm going to go ahead and Daxos here. That way I gain 2 life off of these speakers. And I don't have to involve the combat step if my opponent plays a blocker. Yeah, so now I can play Heliod, gain 2 life off of it. And life is real good. Guess let's put some of these counters on a speaker. I meant to put those both on the same speaker. That way we like have a better chance of this speaker surviving some sort of soft sweeper. Yeah, that's not going to be good enough. You know you're doing something right when you play through a sweeper. Yeah, that's a good one to end on. Eat your heart out, Languish. All right, I think that's gonna wrap things up for me today. I hope you all enjoyed this. If this is your first time here, please consider following. I'm playing Magic on stream, usually 3 times a week. And if you're really enjoying my content, please consider doing something to support it. The queue is mostly open for Magic Online donations for December.